It's what I've always wanted.
Steve's got the stars.
Got a big old cushy chair. It's nice.
Today, Premiere Week keeps rolling with late-night legend Jay Leno.
How about that?
Plus Jordan Sparks. And coming Friday, Charlie Sheen and a performance by Leanne Rimes.
It's all new and it's gonna be big.
And it's all on Steve.
New York, weekdays at 2 on NBC4, New York.
Welcome to Define You Radio. Class is in session with your host, the Southern Belle of Bold, Valencia Griffin-Wallace. Are you ready to unapologetically build your confidence, achieve goals, and design a life worth living? Learn the life lessons and strategies to define your life, money, and business. Pens and papers ready? Class is now in session.
Oh my goodness. Guys, do you love the new intro? Now, I know you guys got used to Define You Radio's old intro that had you nodding your head and prepping for the show, but you got to give me some credit. That new intro is something else. I definitely want to know what you guys think about the June 2017 version of Define You Radio's intro. With that being said, welcome to Define You Radio Classes in Session, a show dedicated to teaching women how to design a life worth living with guests who have defined their life, money, and business. Today's session is how to adapt when life changes. And I'm your host, the Southern Belle of Bold, Valencia Griffin-Wallace. Make sure you connect with the show on Define You Radio's Facebook page or defineyouradio.com. Let me know your thoughts on the new intro. Guys, one of my favorite quotes is when it's about life changes. And in order to get to life's changes, you're going to be challenged. Challenge brings change. Birth, marriage, divorce, remarriage, job changes, house changes, income changes. These are all changes that happen in your life. And like I was telling our guest, who I will intro shortly, that, you can either sink or swim. You can't stop the change. So you have to learn how to adapt. Ask yourself, is this change? What is this? What am I learning in this process? What is this going to do for my life? Because while you're going through the challenge or the change, it may not seem like it's going to work out for you. But as a person that has been through plenty of life's changes and challenges, I could tell you, it's all good. All the changes have changed me for the better. With that being said, our guest today, Miss Mary Reese-Paul, is here to talk about the changes in her life and how she made it to the other side. With that being said, Mary, welcome to Define You Radio.
Yay! Hey, everybody. How you doing? Thank you so much for having me, Valencia.
You like my new intro?
I love it.
You like that intro?
I was bobbing my head still, but
okay.
Yeah, I love it.
That's the whole purpose of the intro. Like, I like to get people geared up and ready for the show and everything. And the old intro was very much a head bobber. And I said, okay, we're going to pull it back and bring it forward at the same time. It is actually our 1 year anniversary. So happy anniversary or happy birthday, Define You Radio. Yay! I'm so excited. And I'm excited to have you on because I know starting this radio show and keeping it going was a challenge. But the changes that it brought the learning curve, the staying motivated, and everything that comes when you're giving birth to a new vision was well worth it. So happy birthday, Define You Radio, and Define You Radio's new and old audience. Mary, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about you, besides the fact that you use yay at the beginning, which is my favorite word?
I think I stole it. A little bit about myself. Well, I'm married, and I just had an 18-year-old graduate, so I'm pretty excited about that, everyone. My son actually leaves to go to the Navy this month. I am originally from Killeen, Texas, a small town. Well, it's not that small now, but I'm from there, born and raised, but I reside in Columbia, South Carolina currently. I am a people's person. I love meeting people. I'm very energetic. I love smiling. I love God. I'm a giver all the way around. I'm straightforward. I'm blunt.
Yes.
Some people may say. But I love me. I wouldn't trade that for anything. I love me. I love myself. So.
Well, I love you too, your personality, and I'm going back to the fact you used the word yay, so that automatically kind of makes us BFFs. So I want to talk about, because you mentioned that your son's graduating. I know when my son graduated, it was like that. I think that's when I really realized I was going to have to cut the cord. And I'm not going to lie, I was not ready.
Well,
your thoughts?
I'm not ready either. But I'm each and every day, slowly but surely, it's going to happen. It's happening. So I'm growing and getting used to it basically as each and every day gets closer and closer for him actually to depart. I actually thought that I was going to be a ball of tears when he graduated high school, but I wasn't a ball of tears. I had so much excitement. It was so much excitement. I didn't see anybody else. All I saw was my son. So I was truly, truly excited about his accomplishment, but it felt good for myself as well. Just to know, that was 18 years. I did that. Much as I want to say he did it, I did it. We did that. So it meant the world to me to see him actually walk, and it meant the world to him also. But I'm adapting to it. He has about 2 weeks, going on 3 weeks remaining before he departs for the Navy. I think that's when I'll cry then. I'll have a couple of days of sadness, but I'll get over it.
Well, congratulations on him graduating high school and going into the Navy. I am a Navy brat myself and a mom of a military son. And if you need me, I understand. Because when Cameron left, you talk about life changes, right? So I'm thinking all the way up to this point, I went right, left, so many changes and challenges in life, him graduating and then him leaving for basic. I'm thinking that, okay, I can handle it. At least I was saying this out loud, right? Saying it out loud. I was like, okay, I could handle it. I could handle it. But when it came, I kind of went through that. Okay, maybe I need to adopt or have another baby or something, because it was a challenge, because I was kind of really on my own. Not on my own. I mean, I know my husband is listening. I'm not saying, husband, that you weren't there, because he was, but it was I was a parent and not. So but it brought forth some changes in me that I don't know would have happened otherwise. I really had time to do some stuff. So
I think it's something about boys. So.
Okay, say it. I didn't want to say it because I'm always talking about, and I have been accused of being partial to boys, but I am the mom of a boy, but I am the bonus mom of 2 girls, but I am partial to boys. I'm sorry. It is what it is.
Well, see, he's the only child. He's the only one. So, yeah.
I'll be there for you.
I have my friends on standby.
You do. You have people on speed dial.
Oh, yeah.
That's good.
They already know. Yeah.
So I want to talk about your defining moment. That moment when you knew from this point on everything was changing. What led up to it, and what was it?
Actually, my defining moment was I actually had finally built up enough courage to walk away from a domestic violence relationship. It was very toxic with my son's father. And that's how I ended up in South Carolina. I moved here to South Carolina and to live with my sister, my older sister. And I even though I had other places to go, it took me a while to build up that courage, but I knew that I needed to go somewhere where I was going to be safe, but also have that I know that I'm very strong-minded, but I needed that tough love as well. And I knew that my oldest sister was going to be the one to not hold anything back and give it to me like it is. And so that's what ended up bringing me here to Columbia, South Carolina, and I ended up staying with her. And during that process, I started going to church. Me and my son I ended up transferring my job, so I had a job. I had to start over. I left everything. When I departed, all I had was my car, the clothes, and my son. So I had to start over. And I did just that. I prayed. I had other people praying for me. I continuously worked. I worked my butt off to basically save up enough money to finally get my first place. And then as time went on, I was able to get it furnished. And I moved up, got a promotion. And the promotion kept going. My work ethic was immaculate. It was out of this world. I was very dedicated to what I was doing, but also providing for my son. I saw a bigger picture for my son. I knew that I didn't want my son to have to want or need or go through anything that I did growing up. So I worked. I continued to work, and I began to build for several years with my son. And I thought that everything at that point was good. I thought I was untouchable, actually, unstoppable. I had the label of I was a manager. I had bought my first home. I had purchased my first car. My actually it was my second car because I actually was able to trade in my first vehicle. So I was riding around in a nice car, and I was 20-something years old, and I was making very good money. And I didn't realize how many eyes that I was using, but it became a point in time where I was working so much, and I was in my eyes, I was providing for my son, but I was providing him with the material things. And it didn't cross my mind. I didn't see it coming or anything. My son, he was acting different. Just like doing typical boy things, I suppose you can say. You know, he was just doing typical things, but it was out of character for me. And I ended up having to call his father down, and his father came down. And we all basically sat around and to see, hey, what's going on with you? And we opened the floor, and I've always told my son basically, be honest, speak how you feel. And so I always thought and felt like that's what he's always done that. But for the first time, I had to hear my son say that he no longer wanted to stay with me.
Mm.
That was my breath. That was my next breath. I didn't understand it. I was mad. I was beyond mad. I was emotional. I felt like I gave, like my emotions and stuff were everywhere. I just couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand why he wanted to leave. Why, where I felt like I was doing everything right. But for the first time, I had to actually, I had to hear him. I had to actually listen to him. I had to hear, it wasn't the material things he wanted. The things that he was wanting and seeking was, it was me. It was, more time with me, and in my head, I was providing. I'm working. I'm doing but at that age, my son was like 16 years old. He didn't understand that.
Right.
So, yeah, that was for me, especially because I felt like everything that I did and was doing, I was doing for my son. So to hear that and to know that he did not want to be there, I felt like God had kicked me in my stomach, and I felt like he pulled my heart out.
I kind of want to go back a little bit, and then we'll come back forward, because I know when you left from your domestic violence situation and you had to stay with your sister and start over. And this is for everybody that's in that situation. I've been in that situation, and everybody has their different, what I call last, like, this is it. This is done. I'm gone. Was it that moment? Was it like one particular moment when you said, I'm headed out the door right at this moment, or was it a plan, to leave?
Actually, I had left on several different occasions, but I was young, 16 years old, 17. And I've been on my own. I moved out of my parents' home when I was 16 years old. So I always, when I left, I wouldn't stay gone a day or two, and I'd go back. Financially, he was the provider. At that time, I didn't know in my head how I was going to survive or make it out without him. And it was deeper than that, because it wasn't just the financial portion. For me, it truthfully was the fact that I cared what people thought. I did not want to have to go back to my hometown, I didn't want to tell people that I wasn't with his father. I didn't want to have to face and break up this whole pretty picture that we had painted for so long, or I had painted in my head. It was more horror just for me. To me, that was more horrifying than me staying in it at that point. My last, when I finally had my breaking point, that point, I did the actual in all the years that we were together and that he was abusive, I never once picked up the phone to call the cops. So I just didn't. You didn't let those. You didn't take money out of your household that you were going, especially if you were going to stay with the person. If you were going to get right back with them, there was no point in you calling the cops. So I never did. And I can remember it like it was yesterday. We had got into it. And for the first time ever, I became the abuser. I jumped on him. And he did not hit me back. He actually went and he called the cops. And I was facing jail time for it. It was at that point. I was in a town that I didn't know anybody. I was nowhere near my family. I was nowhere near my friends. There was nobody around. It was just me, him, and my son. And at that point, yeah, I was like, okay. And I started plotting from there. I was like, okay, I can't go to jail. Like,
right.
I have to do what I have to do to get myself out of this situation. So I flipped. I did. I had to fake like we were going to marriage counseling. We had to act like, he didn't know I was faking, but I was faking. I faked the counseling. I faked, hey, baby, I'm home, the laughing, and I was stacking my money up. And once I got enough money saved up, I got up one morning and I left. I grabbed my son, and I never looked back.
Thank you so much for sharing that, because that in itself is a huge change in life. And I want to ask you, how old was your son when you left?
Oh, my son was 4 years old. And he was a daddy. I'm going to say that. He was a daddy. He was a big daddy's boy. He was a daddy's boy.
So when y'all moved to your sister, did you have a discussion with him, or was it all about, okay, I can't even deal with my emotions, much less your emotions. Mama have to go in power work mode to get our life back right?
I didn't know how I was going to. It scared me to know that I didn't want to hurt my son, because I knew how close him and his father's was. But I actually had a very close, dear friend to me tell me that my son was going to love me no matter what. And those words have always stuck with me. And till this day, they still do, And from her telling me that, I knew that he would love me more for being able to raise him in an environment where he's more happier. Like, to fake it and just to make for a child to be happy when you have two adults who are really miserable. They can't stand each other. It just wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth the sanity. You raise your kids to tell the truth, to be honest, to love, and I felt like we were lying. We were the thing that we were trying to instill in our child. We couldn't even give it to each other, let alone And the faking, after a while, there's only so much faking that you can do.
So as we come back forward to that defining moment, your son's 16, and he tells you he wants to go live with his dad. At that point, did he know why you left?
No, he didn't. He he had no clue. My son didn't actually find out and why the true reason why me and his father actually split until actually about 2 months ago when I released my memoir.
And that's Paint My World Purple?
Yes, it's Paint My World Purple, Color Changes as Healing Progresses.
So tell us about that moment. Did you talk to him after the book was written and published? Did he accidentally pick it up and start reading it and was like, Mom, I have questions? Like, how did that go?
I started writing it. And when I started writing it, originally I thought it was going to be like, okay, I'm going to write this, I didn't know that it was actually something that became very therapeutic for me. I didn't know so many, like, when the transition of me doing all the writing that I was going to, there was times that, oh my gosh, that I was laughing and I was happy. I was remembering when I was happy. I was remembering when I was sad. I was remembering being that young girl who was looking for love, who didn't know what it was, but TV made it look good. Everything, about it was supposed to be what you were looking for, so that's what I was looking for. And the more and more I got emotional and I was writing, and so I asked him, I went to him eventually, and of course I asked him, was it okay if I used his name? And from that point, we talked about it, and he was fine with it. My son is he's very mature. So he said that he understood. I told him, I would like him to actually, read the book before he leaves home, because I want him to know it's a part of him. Irregardless, hiding. Even though he was so young, I still feel like, again, you can only pretend and fake, but for so long. And as much as it was my story, it was his too.
So he remembered some of the abuse, or it was kind of like in the back of his mind, and then the book brought memories up for him?
No, the book, he has never, ever, one of the things about, especially in the domestic violence situation, one of the things with encountering with his father that he never argued, yelled, raised his voice, or anything like that around my son, our son. He would get me upset, and then I would be the one yelling. So it always looked like I was the aggressor or the right. So it never, but he never would. Half the people that know he even cursed. I mean, out, they, it depending on who we were around, you didn't have a clue. But my son, no, he had no idea.
So you talk to him about the book, or he reads the book. He finds out about that. Does he ask? I'm sure he asked you questions, but did he go and ask his dad about it, or confront him about it, so to speak?
I think now, because we are where we are in our life, his father has moved on and has his family now. I've moved on and I have mine. We co-parent. We do the best. Or we've done the best as heck. I know that I probably could have in some of the circumstances as far as co-parenting and stuff. And I think with my son, I think at some point he will. I think it'll be in his own timing. I'm sure that he will have questions for his father. As for me, he hugs me more. He kisses me more. And my son actually kisses me like every single morning, but he's even more affectionate now. So his gestures and stuff, he tells me how strong I am, that he's proud of me. So I think in his own way, he's okay. He's happy for me.
That's like taking your power back and him acknowledging that. So I want to back up to 2 years ago when he was 16. And he says that I want to go live with my dad. What did you do? Did he go live with his dad?
Yes.
And how did that change your life?
He left. He did. And he left. And when he left, I lost focus. I put everything in him. When I say I put everything, he was my reason. And I didn't realize how much that he was my reason. He was my reason for breathing. Like, literally, he really was. And I lost my focus. My job, came at stake for me losing my job. Any and everything that I kept saying that I did, like, I was losing it. Like, I was losing it. It was slipping, where I was telling myself that I did all of this stuff. I never, ever, at one time, I didn't acknowledge God. I continuously said, I did this. I did that. And he tapped all around. He told that person. He told whatever foundation in my head I thought I had, I didn't have one. I mean, I from friends that I thought that I had, they weren't there. I just that was a very rough time for me.
So when did you, and let me add this, I could imagine, because it sounds very much like you and your son have the type of relationship me and my son have. So I could, like you said, you breathe, that's your breath, that's your air, that's your reason to go hard and grind and never give up. And then all of a sudden that reason decides that they want another life. Yeah, you're going to go through some stuff. So how long were you going through? How long did it take for you to adapt? And then what happened once you said, okay, I think I can make it?
It took me... it was almost...
Tell the truth.
About 8 months.
Okay. I thought you were going to say 2 years. I was about to say, okay, well, this just happened.
No, it took me about 7 or 8 months to actually for me to start seeing stuff clearly. Like with him being gone and just him not being there, and me actually being able to see that I actually that son and mother relationship, my my sister came to me one day, and she made the comment, well, God gave His Son up, and if He came to you and He asked you to give yours up, would you be able to? And I remember her asking me that question, and I remember my answer was, I didn't think twice about it. I was like, no, for this, for the world,
right?
Like, you see what the world is, how the world is now? No,
right?
No, I wouldn't give my son. No. I had to. I when I say God. Yeah, I had to drown in my tears. It took that. I had to see it. He showed me at that point in time that nothing was mine. Nothing that He had blessed me with, it wasn't mine. Nothing,
that you were putting an eye on.
Nothing, from even to my son. Nothing. I may have carried him, but he planted. That was he's his. Nothing was mine. My job, that wasn't mine. Nothing that I had, nothing. Everything that I put before, it was not mine.
That is a powerful statement. And I love that when your sister asked you that question, I love that you were honest with your answer to her and on the show, because a lot of times we want to say the right thing because it sounds right and that's what you're supposed to say. But I'd rather you be truthful than politically correct, so to speak. And I hear, and I know when we had our discussion, I hear that spirituality and that realization when basically God had to break you down for you to realize that, okay, Lord, I see what you're doing. Now what? So what was that when you had that realization that it's not yours? What were the right? It's not yours, not yours. What was the next steps? Because here it is, less than 2 years later, if you count your 7 months, 2 years later, and you're a powerful woman. How did you get from that, no, I'm not giving my son to the world, to embracing all that Mary is today?
You have those, as you're going through life, you have those where people call them, you have these confirmations or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I started wanting that relationship with God more. But that relationship that I was wanting with God ended up turning into, when my son was small, I used to ask my son, because he would, my son and his father used to go to church. I just didn't go with him. So my son talked about God. He knew who God was. And I remember when my son was young, and he would talk to God and stuff like that. And I'd ask him, like, so God really talks to you, And my son would look me dead in the face and be like, yeah, as if, don't he talk to you too? And
right.
When I was going through that process and I was wanting that relationship with him, he turned that. God turned it from a relationship to where it was intimate. It was an intimacy with him. When I say I could hear him, it scared me, because you know how you're waiting on that confirmation, like, okay, God, send me a sign, let me know if this
right.
is you. No, I didn't get that. It's like, no, because I know I can't do that with this one. I'm going to have to tell. And I could hear him. You can't get this wrong. You're not going to get this wrong. You can't get this wrong, because I'm telling you. And he would make it so visible. And one of the things that I said in the very beginning was that I know one thing about me, that I know that I'm strong. I know that I'm strong. I know my mother's strong. So I know her blood runs through me. So I know that I'm strong. So I know with God, he had to. In his head, he's probably like, this child ain't going to get it any other way. I'm going to have to, I do not believe that I would have gotten it any other way than with him doing it how and the way that he did. And even with my son leaving and going to stay with his father, the time frame that he did, he ended up, even along that way, even I still was making mistakes. I still made mistakes. I still wasn't perfect. I thought that some of the things that I was doing, I thought they were right. I mean, my son got down there, and him and his father would get into it, and he would call me, and I don't want to stay here, hey, you want to come home? That's fine. I never took a second to think like, no, this is where he needs to be, or in my head, that motherly instinct carried up, it kicked back in. So it was certain things that I went there. He said he wanted to come home. I went there, drove there, picked him up, and brought him back home. And when he came back a whole different kid. And it was like every time I interrupted what God was trying to do, God stepped in and said, okay, so here you go. Now, this is for you being disobedient. And it wasn't, in my eyes at the time, I felt like he was punishing me. But it wasn't, I've learned, I've gotten stronger with him. I know that it's not that he's punishing me when I do something that, sometimes I do think that is the right thing. And instead of me going and seeking him first, and I end up, because I don't, unfortunately, you do have to me, in my eyes, you do have to pay repercussions for that sometimes. So I have to, in lack of better words, to me, I have to be a big girl sometimes when I make those mistakes along the way, and realize that, hey, well, Mary, you shouldn't have done that, or you shouldn't do this. He came back, when my son came back, I don't think my son was here, he was here less than 24 hours, and he was like, okay, Mom, I'm gone, and he jetted out the door, and, and I'm thinking we were finna hang out. Like, I got my son back, and it didn't happen like that, because he just wasn't that little kid who I would say, go out and make you some friends, Within that short period of time that he was with his dad, he was finding himself. So he wasn't the same within that. I mean, that short. It seemed so long to me. So for me to say 7 months, oh my God, it did seem, Valencia, like it was 2 years, but it wasn't. But it wasn't.
I know you are part of the woman behind the mask, correct?
Yes.
The fact that you said it like that, what was your chapter about?
My chapter in the woman behind the mask, and it was basically unmasking your authentic self, and it's that chapter was about my son making the decision basically to leave, but also me walking around. My labels were defining me. I was letting I go to school. I'm a manager. If Sally down the way had the new car, I wanted the new car. If Tamika went on a trip, I wanted to go on a new trip. Irregardless, I mean, when I stepped outside the door, anybody that saw me or anybody, I was the one that people came to if they needed advice, you know. And for me, I dare go to someone else to cry or to say I'm you know, I need someone to talk to, or you can come to me, but I had this facade. I had the fake, like, I had everything together. I got this.
Right.
Like, even when things wasn't good, I still had to I had to see which mask I was going to wear that day before I walked out my door. And it was days that I walked back in my door that I had to put on a mask to come back in it. I wasn't real anywhere that I went. I wasn't being real with myself. I wasn't being real at my job, work, around my friends. I wasn't real at home. I wasn't being real anywhere.
So you were trying to be this, what you thought was like the ideal person to each person almost, or each situation you dealt with, like the strong version of you that everybody else saw, whether you felt that way or not.
Right. If they said, hey, how you doing? I'm great. It didn't matter what thoughts, how dark it got inside of me. That didn't matter. Nobody was going to know that because I'm not going to tell. I mean, what do I look like? You know, in my head, I was just like, I can't tell no one that.
I think because as women, we hear that title so much, you know, about being a strong woman, and we're strong, and, you know, we have kids and we're strong, and we want to be strong. We want to be seen as a strong woman, and sometimes living up to that cliche or whatever you want to call it, that title, it doesn't allow us room for error. It doesn't allow us to be us. Because we're so used to being strong for everybody else and making sure the image is right and the picture is pretty, and underneath the canvas could be falling apart, but the picture looks pretty though. So thank you for sharing it, because I know a lot of people can relate to putting that mask of I'm ready to take over the world when you're really not. So if you had to give one tip, because you had different challenges and changes over the years, and if someone was going through a similar situation, something, because the changes you went through were literally life changes, you know, what advice would you give them when they're in the middle of it or going through it?
When you're going through it, anybody that has encountered or that's going through or has ever, if you've ever had a dark moment, or if you even feel like you're by yourself, a lot of the times I tell you to first take a step back. As much as I want to be quick to say be true to yourself, I'm not going to say that, because a lot of people don't know, because you pretended to be other people behind the mask, wearing the mask for so long that they don't even know who they are. I would honestly say just get to know you. Get to embrace who you are, flaws and all. If you wake up and you got crust, look, stinky breath, crust in the eye, love yourself. Just be you. Like, don't dress up. Don't stop caring about what anyone else, because I guarantee you that despite who everybody has a story. They may not be bold enough, not ever. Some do go to their grave with that story. But everybody has a story. Stop placing a question mark where God has already placed a period.
I was hoping you said
anything.
that.
You can't do anything to stop placing a question mark where God has already placed a period. He's created you. Only one of you. There's no duplications of you.
Mm. I posted today, I'm cut from a different cloth, and they don't make that type of fabric anymore.
Hello.
We have to embrace that we are exactly who God made us to be, and roll with it and run with it. And, I can't be, I'm not I don't want to say nice, sweet person, but I'm not soft-spoken, nor do I desire to be. However, that used to be a desire of mine, because most women, especially in the South, or most women I know are soft-spoken. And I have the type of voice and laugh, you're going to hear me. I don't, when I speak, I turn the microphone off because I have a loud voice, but I embrace that God made me to have this loud voice. And that was a hard thing to accept. So a lot of that was a challenge for me. That was a challenge for me, but I had to adapt and realize that God made me this way. So if I say that he doesn't make mistakes, how can I think I'm one?
Exactly.
So thank you for sharing that. And I want to ask you this question. Then I want to know a little bit about your business as we're kind of winding down. What one word, if you just had to pick one, what one word defines your life, period?
Resilient.
Agreed. I agree.
Resilient.
So tell us a little bit about your business and how the audience can get your books and connect with you.
Okay. Well, I am a life and relationship coach. My angle, and I truly encourage self-love in females, particularly. You can find me on Facebook. I'm on Facebook as Mary Reese, my business page, or Mary Reese. You can follow either or. My website is www.marysowingseeds.com. I'm also on Instagram at Wisdom Speaks in Quiet Places. Or you can email me at marysowingseeds@gmail.com.
I love the sowing seeds. I love that. Why did you, and I know this is kind of left, but why did you pick that, sowing seeds?
I didn't know at first what I had even did. You know, you know how you don't realize what God is doing. I would send people text messages at one point, and then I just started posting, and I put the Mary and my godmother, who passed away in May. She planted a seed. She's who taught me who God was, and she opened her door for so many children, and she got to see her harvest. And one of the things at her funeral that they kept continuously was talking about seeds and growing, and everything in life starts as a seed, whether your business, marriage, a friendship, everything starts with planting a seed. In order for something to grow, fester, whatever, even a thought in your head, something has to start. Something has to be planted. And sowing the seeds, that's I can plant it. I can give it. I can plant it. But I might not, and it's not. Hey, I may not have to stay there to water it or see the sun, but as long as I'm doing his diligence and planting that seed, that's all he wants us to do.
And I definitely think that more people need to focus on the sowing, because we focus so much on the harvest. What am I getting out of it? You know, what is this going to do for me? And I would like to say this to those people that think that way. And I'm previously guilty. You know, I'd be the first one to say, if I didn't see the harvest, I wasn't going to waste my time planting the seed. But I had to realize two things. Number one, where I sow, my harvest may not come from.
Hello.
And if I wanted to harvest different, I had to sow different. So I couldn't sow with the intention on getting something back. I had to sow because I would have wanted someone to sow into me when my dirt was empty or just dirt. Woo! Always at the end of the show.
Yes.
Those weren't even my quotes for the show, guys. But I had to go there because we see a lot. Everybody wants the harvest. We want, what's in it for me? I mean, that's a term. What's in it for me? I'm at zero. What's in it for me? I started at the bottom. What's in it for me? And something came to me one day, and I said, zero is a myth. Because as long as you have the thought that there's somewhere else or something better you can do with your life, you're never at zero. So that whole bragging started from the bottom. No, because if you seriously started from the bottom and was at zero, you would not have recognized you were at the bottom and there was somewhere else to go. I might have to Facebook Live that one. Mary, it has been so much fun. I learned some things about you that I previously didn't know, and I enjoy every moment of it. I want to thank you so much for taking your time to come on Define You Radio, and then, of course, using my favorite word, yay. Yay. Guys, don't forget to get all the guest information will be in the show notes if you're listening online, or if you go online, you will see it there. If you enjoyed tonight's session and the new intro, the new June 2017 version of the intro, subscribe to the show. That way you won't miss a thing, including the head bobbing at the beginning. Feel free to personally connect with me at valenciagwallace.com. As usual, I'm going to end with a quote. It comes from Unknown, but I love the quote. And she stood in the storm, and when the wind did not blow her way, she adjusted her sails. Well, guys, pens down. Class is officially over. Until next time.
Thanks for listening to Define You Radio. Class is in session. Connect with the show at www.defineyouradio.com. Pens and papers down. Class is over.
This is what I've always wanted.
Steve's got the stars.
Got a big old cushy chair. It's nice.
Today, Premiere Week keeps rolling with late-night legend Jay Leno.
How about that?
Plus Jordan Sparks. And coming Friday, Charlie Sheen and a performance by Leanne Rimes.
It's all new, and it's gonna be big.
And it's all on Steve.
New York, weekdays at 2 on NBC4, New York. This It's what I've always wanted.
Steve's got the stars.
Got a big old cushy chair. It's nice.
Today, Premiere Week keeps rolling with late-night legend Jay Leno.
How about that?
Plus Jordan Sparks. And coming Friday, Charlie Sheen and a performance by Leanne Rimes.
It's all new, and it's gonna be big.
And it's all on Steve.
New York, weekdays at 2 on NBC4, New York.